Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie and you're watching Reliable Roots, and today's video is a curriculum review of the Oak Meadow kindergarten curriculum. Now let me just start off by saying this is the old looking one. Up to the best of my knowledge, the new ones are the exact same on the inside. They've just had a facelift and I am using the old ones. This is I bought these last year and I already bought them secondhand. I think I got them from either Facebook or eBay, but either way, this is the old looking ones, but I believe from everything that I've seen online that the inside is the same. They just got a new facelift. So over here we have the enrichment package, and this is the main kindergarten coursework. So I'm going to start off by going through this, and then I'll also touch on the enrichment package because I think that they do really well together. The enrichment package you only need to buy once. It's one time. It's for grades kindergarten through third grade, and it'll take you all the way through there. So it's a one-time kind of purchase. But if you've never purchased from Oak Meadow, I highly suggest you get this because so much of the actual coursework references the enrichment package. So let's get started. And I'm going to open up. This is the course book. Now the course book and the resource book do go hand in hand. You really do need both of these in order to do this curriculum because so much of it is referenced into the resource book. But the main thing that you're going to be working out of is the course book. So starting at the very beginning, you have an introduction, and it'll just kind of highlight some of the other materials that you will need for this, including the resource book, the guide to teaching the early grades, which is part of the enrichment package, and the Heart of Learning, which is also part of the enrichment package. I am really loving this curriculum, and this is one of the reasons why. I am a working homeschooling mom, and this comes with so many opportunities to bring the Waldorf-inspired kind of philosophy into our homeschool curriculum, but it makes it very simple for me personally because I have never actually been to a Waldorf school. I don't have any real training in Waldorf. I just know what I've read and what I've seen on YouTube and kind of what I've followed. But as far as like formal education, I went to public school, so this is all still very new to me, and this is a great kind of intermediate curriculum to get into the Waldorf philosophy while still kind of maintaining what I personally have already been doing all along. So that is, that's my, I'll try to keep the rest of my opinions out of this, but that's the main reason why I'm really enjoying this curriculum. Things like this. It has a nice planner, and it has a wonderful checklist at the beginning of every single week of what you will be going over. So for me, if I get busy and maybe I'm not following along exactly as is, it is just very helpful to have these kinds of lists. It has areas for notes and materials needed, and at the beginning of each week, you'll have materials over here, and then you have lesson one. I also really enjoy the illustrations in these. You can see that they're very beautiful, and I will usually use these to copyright directly into our main lesson books because it makes it easier. I'm not so much of an artist that I can just do a whole lot of artwork without having some sort of visual to go off of, so I really like that as well. Okay, going back to the beginning, this is what the day looks like. So the Waldorf philosophy really focuses on the whole child, spirit, soul, the whole day. It's not just, you know, a few hours every day. So that's why they really emphasize rhythm. They really emphasize the entire day. Starting with the day, you have a morning circle time. You have a morning maiden lesson time. For the kindergarten level, you really only need 45 minutes to 60 minutes in your morning main lesson, and I believe it's the same in the afternoon. And you're going to kind of alternate between language arts, social studies, or math. You alternate your days so your child has plenty of time to explore matter at hand at any given day. Then you have the afternoon hour, which again is another hour that's devoted to arts and crafts and music and health and that sort of thing. But they also really emphasize the bedtime routine, which should consist a lot of reading fairy tales and bedtime stories, and that will all be found in the resource book. So taking all of that into account about the routine that you are setting up with your child, the morning circle always has an opening and a closing verse. And in between there you have finger plays, and you have songs, and you have finger plays and songs and verses. And all of that can be found in the guide to teaching the early grades, which is part of the enrichment package, and that's why these really go hand in hand. Of course, you can find any of these offline, you can make up your own, but they reference some of these that go really well with the lessons that you're learning each week. So for kindergarten, they're really, I believe in Waldorf schools, they don't learn, I think, don't quote me on this, but I don't believe that they learn like any formal education until the child is closer to 7. I believe that that is the philosophy. Again, this is like a good go-between, because in kindergarten, you're taking it easy as far as like the formal academics, but you're still learning academics, because like it's just kind of a nice bridge in between, in case that you're all ready to learn academics as you've been taught and as you're expected to, or as you grew up learning academics in kindergarten. And so this is a good in-between, for me at least. So anyway, so you're starting with capital letters, and that's really all you're going to be learning in kindergarten. As far as letters go, you're not going to be learning any sight words. It's lots of fairy tales and uppercase letters. And again, the illustrations are beautiful. And I believe that they recommend you having 3 main lesson books per child, if I remember right. I might have to double check on that, but that is the case, I know, in other grades, so I believe that that's what it was. So the main lesson book is where they're going to be drawing all these beautiful illustrations. The arts and crafts will be referencing the arts and crafts book in the enrichment package. You have music and movement, you have science, and you have health, which again is part of the enrichment package, and then you have a learning assessment. Now, there aren't any tests or any of that sort of thing, but you do have these wonderful assessment pages at the end that again you can just print out and keep for your own records. Oak Meadow also offers enrolled students, in which you can actually send in sample work to an Oak Meadow teacher, and they'll actually help you out. I'm not really sure exactly how that works, but that you can enroll your child if you need extra help, or if you would like to have that option. So each lesson is kind of geared that same way. You have the planners, you have the checklist, you have areas for materials, or here's materials, and as you're going through, you're just again doing the uppercase letters, and you have these beautiful illustrations, and you have some different songs to go along with it. For math, you're working a little bit on form drawing. For science, you're really discovering the seasons, and you're doing some fun activities with that. So I'll just flip a little bit more to give you some more ideas of the illustrations. This is in week 5, lesson 5. There are 36 weeks in this curriculum to go along with the school year. And yeah, so by the time you get to the end, it's like that's illustrations, and you're doing arts and crafts. Again, I really like the illustrations. They're really pretty. Yeah, so at the end, you're doing these, and I also really enjoyed this at the very end. This is quite a few pages. So let's go back to the very beginning. Materials sorted out by lesson. So if you want to just skip to the end and see what kind of materials you will need for the first 6 weeks or the entire year, you can just go right back here and make out your materials list to make sure that you have everything you need. So just to give you kind of a run through of what it looks like on the inside, this is it. It's a very laid back curriculum. Of course, I believe all Waldorf-inspired curriculums are, but this to me is a very nice go-between if you're not used to the Waldorf experience, the Waldorf philosophy, because it does kind of tie in what I am used to teaching, or what I have been kind of brought up to teach, and the Waldorf philosophy. So each week, let me go back to, let's go to lesson 10. So each week you'll have a tale that you read at bedtime, and that is where you will bring out the resource book. And in the resource book, at the very beginning, they have some resources on how children are growing at this age, and a little bit of how to implement the Waldorf philosophy in your own homeschool. So they'll have an introduction, they'll talk about things that you need, and yes, main lesson book. So let's see, we recommend one for language arts and social studies, one for science. Yeah, so you'll need 3, one for language arts and social studies, one for science, and one for math. So 3 main lesson books for the first semester and 3 in the second semester. And then watercolor paper and paints and paint brushes and jumbo beeswax blocks or stick crayons. It'll talk about how to begin. It'll talk about how the course is set up. It'll talk about how to use the main lesson books, circle time, creating a daily structure and rhythm, like I was saying, that the entire day is kind of brought into this curriculum, creating supportive homeschooling environment. This talks a lot about the importance of play, especially with kindergarten. It gives some clay recipes, which I've tried out and I really liked. Actually, I did both of them. They turned out really, really nicely. And nurturing a healthy imagination. And then it'll actually break it down to language arts. How do you teach language arts at this age? How do you teach social studies at this age? And mathematics and that sort of stuff. So that's all at the very beginning of the resource book. And then it'll actually get into stories. Now, this is the only part that I really don't like about the curriculum, is that it's not in order of the lessons. It's in alphabetical order. And that's just one of those like little pet peeves, because you're actually, according to the Waldorf philosophy, you're really, you're supposed to read the story ahead of time and I don't know, maybe take notes, but you're supposed to retell it to the story, to the kids, not read it word for word. And that has always been very, very difficult for me. So this, I usually just, well, I don't usually, I always just read it directly from the book. So that was just my one irritation with this, is that they're not in order. So I can't just go straight here and turn to the different lessons. But it's a small thing, because they are in alphabetical order, so you can find them easy enough. But these are all the different stories for social studies and language arts. And again, really beautiful illustrations. These with all the animals, it looks, I'm not sure, it looks like it's taken from like some old classic children's tale. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. I'm not sure what that is, because I'm not sure about that. But Peter Rabbit, and you have a lot of different animal stories all written up in here with beautiful illustrations. And that was another reason why I read to my kids, because they actually like to look at the illustrations as well. So getting into math, you're really trying to just kind of go over the basics of numbers and give them an idea of numbers. And this part I really enjoyed as well. 3, we're talking about triangles, how many sides, how many points. The number 9, you have stories with each one of these math lessons. And then you also have stories for science. Like I said, lots and lots of stories to really capture imagination and have lots of playtime or imagination. Okay, and back here we have recipes for kindergartners. We do not do, I don't think, any of these, but we do a lot of other just kind of cooking, bread making on a regular basis, but they do have that at the back. Okay, so that is all the kindergarten curriculum. Now that goes hand in hand with the enrichment package, and I'll just take you through this real quick. I know I've touched on this in my other reviews, which you can check over here or over here. I forget where it's at, but I will put a link to the other reviews I have of 1st grade and 2nd grade, and stay tuned because I have a 3rd grade unboxing coming here soon. So with the enrichment package, again, they just did a new facelift on all of these, but it's from what I understand, it's the same thing on the inside. You have the Circle Time CD. We've been using this. There's 22 songs, and the guy on here sings a lot nicer than I do, so I would highly recommend this. My children really like this a lot better than my singing, so that's come in handy. The Heart of Learning, this is just for parents. This is very informative about how to teach. It has it's basically like a collection of kind of blogs and articles and that sort of stuff about how to teach the Waldorf philosophy and what's important in focusing and working with creative tension and rhythm and learning and that sort of stuff. So that's a really nice read. I actually might read that again here soon, even though we've actually already started our school year up, but that's something that I should probably be reading again every year. The Guide to Teaching the Early Grades is referenced quite a bit, and this is where you'll find, again, more beautiful illustrations. These are written in alphabetical order, but these are all the songs, verses, and finger plays that go really well with the circle time. You have, these are tongue twisters, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickles, can't even say that, tongue twisters, and then you have opening verses for circle time, and closing verses for circle time, so you can mix those up, and lots and lots of stories and finger plays. You can see where I've tabbed some of them that we are working on right now, so I can just go straight to that whenever we do our circle time. And then towards the end of this, let's see, you have poems after that, but I want to say, yeah, oh, there it is. Yeah, so next you have a bunch of poems, and then these are really nice. These are poems in relation to the different months of the year, and that I believe is for older kids, but that's the enrichment package will cover children all the way to the 3rd grade. In the green section, and I also really like how it's color coded, so you can just flip through it a little bit easier. These are verses and poems, especially for 3rd grade, which we're not getting into in this review. And then you have the index at the end of all the different ones. So that one is that. And then crafts for the early grades. Again, I really like the illustrations in this book. These are just tons of crafts. They are referenced throughout the curriculum, throughout all of kindergarten through 3rd grade. So they have a ton of different craft ideas. You don't have to have this. You can come up with your own craft ideas, but they really have some beautiful illustrations. The illustrations are not on every single one, so there are some that don't come with illustrations. But you know, they're all really nicely drawn and done up, and there's a lot of great ideas in here. Towards the end, there is a section just for the older kids, specific to terracotta, or I think it's terracotta and or just kind of clay, but that's for the older kids. Really like the craft book. And then the last one is Healthy Living. This is my least used book. Let me see if I can make some room over here so you can see this one. The Healthy Living is my least used book. It's mostly just because at the end of the week, we might not get to this one, and this is the one that I'm okay with because a lot of the stuff is very, very basic. Each week, for weeks 1 through 5, I think, they give you a different theme each week, and then like week 6 and week 12 are reviews. So every 6th week is a review of what you've learned. But basically, they're things that we talk about this usually, but it's good to have an outline to make sure that you cover all of these different topics. Things like growth and development, and health and hygiene, safety, body awareness, let's see, basic first aid, and all this sort of stuff. And again, this takes you all the way through 3rd grade. So like for basic first aid, they have a special section just for kindergarten, and then they have one for 1st grade that's a little bit different, and one for 2nd grade and one for 3rd grade, and all of those are just slightly different, but it's great that they have all those together, that you can teach the same sort of lesson to all. If you have children of different ages, you can teach them all the same thing. Again, this was the emergency situations and let's see, active flexibility and sort of stuff. And again, this is a great book, but this is the book that if there's just not enough time, that we didn't get to enough things in the week, that this usually is the one that gets shoved to the side, just because we cover a lot of this stuff on a regular basis. So that about wraps up this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!